The modern vocabulary surrounding UFOs encompasses a wide range of interpretations: technical, spiritual, psychological, and conspiratorial. Terms such as extraterrestrial, interplanetary, interstellar, interdimensional, plasma phenomenon, atmospheric anomaly, advanced aerospace vehicle, hypersonic craft, reverse-engineered technology, non-human intelligence, unidentified aerial phenomenon, metamaterial, quantum propulsion, and electromagnetic distortion reflect attempts to rationalize sightings through scientific or technological means. On the other hand, religious and mythic language like angels, fallen angels, demons, watchers, Nephilim, Elohim, chariots of fire, gods, deities, spirits of the air, messengers, jinn, interdimensional beings, light beings, and seraphim roots the phenomenon in ancient cosmologies and spiritual symbolism. Added to this are esoteric terms such as astral entities, thought forms, tulpa, elementals, dimensional 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, etheric constructs, vibrational frequencies, portals, gateways, hyperdimensional intelligence, and Luciferian light. Finally, a conspiratorial lexicon, black project, secret military craft, disinformation campaign, psychological operation, cover-up, controlled disclosure, false flag, alien deception, shadow government, breakaway civilization, links the phenomenon to hidden human agendas, while modern hybrid labels like ancient astronauts, time travelers, ultra-terrestrials, simulation glitch, quantum visitors, energy beings, and extratemporal consciousness blend myth and science fiction into a contemporary mythology. The term interdimensional plays a key psychological role in shaping perception. By framing a phenomenon as interdimensional, it detaches it from physical constraints and places it in a realm inaccessible to empirical measurement. This framing makes experiences of lights or orbs that seem to appear and disappear, phasing in and out of visibility, feel like glimpses into another reality. In Jungian terms, this serves as an archetypal manifestation, a projection of collective mythic imagery onto ambiguous sensory input. As a result, ordinary atmospheric or technological phenomena can easily take on spiritual or supernatural significance, interpreted as angels, jinn, or watchers crossing the veil. In other words, from a Jungian psychological perspective, when people see something they can't easily explain, like strange lights or unusual objects in the sky, their minds may project deep, shared symbols or myths onto those experiences. Carl Jung called these universal symbols archetypes, which come from the collective unconscious, the layer of the mind that stores common human imagery and meaning across cultures. So, if someone sees an unclear or ambiguous phenomenon, for example, a glowing orb or an unusual light, their mind might interpret it through existing mythic or religious ideas, seeing it not as a drone or reflection, but as an angel, jinn, or watcher. In other words, the experience becomes a kind of mirror, reflecting humanity's inner symbolic world back onto the outer world. Throughout religious mysticism, esotericism, and even conspiracy culture, light functions as a recurring symbol of both divine revelation and hidden control. Terms such as light beings, fire in the sky, light workers, orbs of light, children of light, bearers of light, illumined ones, and keepers of the flame appear across spiritual and UFO-related narratives alike. This linguistic pattern reflects older mystical traditions, particularly in Lurianic Kabbalah, where light represents the infinite light, a metaphor for the boundless creative force or divine energy believed to permeate all existence. In many modern conspiratorial frameworks, particularly those that revolve around secret societies, this vocabulary becomes deeply intertwined with claims of hidden hierarchies guiding human affairs. The Brotherhood of Light, often associated with Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, and other esoteric orders. In Masonic and occult symbolism, light is exoterically a metaphor for knowledge, moral awakening, and initiation, the journey from darkness, ignorance, into understanding, light. Since Freemasonry is built around a Judaic core, the blood that flows through the veins of Freemasonry is Jewish. Some researchers trace this imagery esoterically back to Lurianic Kabbalah, the 16th century mystical system of Rabbi Isaac Luria. Luria taught that in the process of divine creation, the vessels meant to contain the infinite light of the Creator shattered, scattering sparks of holiness throughout the material world. Humanity's task, according to this view, is the gathering and restoration of these dispersed sparks, reuniting the divine light. The Freemasonic concept of the Brotherhood of Light, in this interpretive framework, can be seen as an allegorical continuation of that idea, a fraternity devoted to rediscovering and reconstructing the fragments of divine illuminations in the material realm. Thus, when contemporary narratives describe mysterious aerial lights, or cosmic beings of light, they unconsciously echo this ancient metaphysical drama of broken vessels and the eternal human quest to reclaim the scattered radiance of creation. This shift in perception, the groundwork for a technological reinterpretation, the laser plasma holographic hypothesis. If people already accept that what they see is not entirely solid or material, it is only a small step to believe that the phenomenon could be a holographic projection. This concept has been tied in conspiratorial circles to black projects and secret military craft, where classified optical and electromagnetic technologies are said to be used to create large-scale illusions. The rhetorical link between non-material and holographic makes the technology seem plausible, especially when couched in scientific-sounding terms such as metamaterial optics, quantum propulsion, or electromagnetic distortion. Within this framework lies Project Blue Beam, a theory popularized in the 1990s by Serge Monist, which alleges a covert plan to use holographic projection and electromagnetic manipulation to simulate a religious or extraterrestrial event. The theory claims that this staged phenomenon would be part of a larger psychological operation designed to unite, or control, humanity through a shared global belief in an artificial savior. During the 1991 Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm, reports surfaced, including accounts from defense journalists and analysts, describing a United States military psychological operation concept involving the projection of a giant holographic image of Allah over Baghdad to encourage Iraqi troops and citizens to turn against Saddam Hussein. The idea was to exploit cultural and religious beliefs to achieve psychological dominance. The concept continues to circulate because it merges technological plausibility, religious symbolism, and geopolitical paranoia into a single narrative. The blue aspect of blue beam is often associated with visible blue light, whose frequency lies between roughly 606 and 668 terahertz. At around 450 nanometers in wavelength, blue light corresponds approximately to 666 terahertz. The symbolic resonance of the number 666 amplifies the mythic and apocalyptic overtones of the blue beam narrative, reinforcing its connection to prophetic imagery. Religious demographics also play a key part in understanding the cultural impact of such an idea. The two largest world religions, Christianity, with over 2 billion adherents, and Islam, with nearly 2 billion, form the backbone of humanity's spiritual landscape. Both traditions anticipate signs and wonders preceding a final revelation or judgment. If a convincing visual phenomenon appeared in the sky, interpreted through the lens of either faith, it could generate profound psychological and social effects. This makes religious belief systems particularly vulnerable to manipulation through technologically mediated illusions framed as divine or demonic manifestations. Imagine, then, a scenario. An individual steps outside at dusk and notices several luminous orbs hovering silently in the sky. They shimmer, then fade, reappearing elsewhere as if popping in and out of existence. To the observer, It might feel as though they are witnessing interdimensional beings, light beings, or seraphim passing through reality. Yet, under a staged event hypothesis, such a display could be the result of coordinated drone swarms, laser-induced plasma projections, or atmospheric scattering effects. All technologies well within the capability of modern defense or entertainment industries. In this view, the illusion would be the product of collaboration between Hollywood visual engineers and military intelligence specialists skilled in perception management. A fusion of magic, illusion, and PsyOps design. The psychological mechanics of this illusion rely on symbolism. Words like interdimensional, hyperdimensional intelligence, etheric constructs, and vibrational frequencies evoke metaphysical awe, while the color blue adds spiritual and apocalyptic connotations. For believers, the event could appear as a sign from heaven. For skeptics, it might suggest an advanced aerospace vehicle or reverse-engineered technology. This flexibility of interpretation is the phenomenon an ideal tool for psychological influence, allowing different audiences to project their own beliefs onto a shared sensory event. However, it is crucial to distinguish between narrative coherence and evidentiary proof. Technologies capable of producing impressive aerial illusions do exist: drones, lasers, holographic projection, and there have been documented military proposals exploring their psychological and strategic use. I am not downplaying the possibility that a program resembling Project Bluebeam could, or does exist or is being developed. Rather, I'm emphasizing that currently no verifiable public evidence confirms its operational deployment. What can be established is that psychological operations have historically integrated advanced visual and electromagnetic technologies to influence perception, suggesting that the foundation for such a project is technically and strategically plausible. During the Cold War, the CIA and other American intelligence agencies undertook extensive research into psychological manipulation, suggestion, and belief systems as tools of influence. Programs such as MKUltra and related behavioral studies explored hypnosis, trance states, and cultural belief structures, not just because officials believed in magic, but because they recognized that belief itself can be a powerful psychological weapon. In this context, witchcraft and occult rituals were analyzed as frameworks through which people externalize intent, focus attention, and influence perception, techniques that, stripped of supernatural language, resemble applied psychology. Researchers noted that ritual, symbolism, and suggestion can condition behavior and evoke powerful emotional responses. Intelligence analysts understood that these same mechanisms, belief reinforcement, fear induction, and group cohesion, could be leveraged in propaganda and counterintelligence. Similarly, certain forms of modern occultism or ritual magic, including elements within Jewish Satanism or ceremonial traditions, were viewed as psychological systems for concentrating will and reshaping perception. From a scientific standpoint, these were interpreted not as supernatural forces, but as sophisticated methods of psychological conditioning and behavioral influence. In summary, framing UFOs as interdimensional phenomena primes observers to accept the possibility of immaterial, visible manifestations. This narrative makes holographic and plasma-based technologies plausible tools for deception, especially when paired with the powerful symbolism of blue light and its coincidental 666 terahertz frequency. When filtered through the lenses of Christianity and Islam, both rich in apocalyptic expectation, such displays could carry immense psychological power. Whether real or imagined, the idea of Project Bluebeam reveals more about humanity's susceptibility to myth, symbol, and spectacle than it does about confirmed technological conspiracies. In all belief systems, whether religious, spiritual, or secular, have the potential to develop extremist factions. Throughout history, radical interpretations of monotheistic faiths, such as Islam, Christianity, and Judaism have driven movements seeking to dominate others in the name of divine truth. Yet the same pattern can also be found within pagan, satanic, atheistic, and even Masonic frameworks, where ideology or esoteric philosophy becomes a justification for control or elitism. At their core, these extremist offshoots share a single objective: to shape or command the collective mind, imposing their worldview as the sole path to enlightenment, salvation, or progress. Recognizing that extremism is not confined to any one tradition, but is instead a recurring human tendency to seek power through belief, is essential to preserving intellectual and spiritual freedom. Only through awareness and discernment can humanity resist manipulation and remain free to question, think, and choose its own path. Throughout history, radical ideological groups, religious, political, or secretive, have sought to infiltrate existing power structures to influence policy, culture, and belief from within. This pattern can be seen across many eras: revolutionary movements in Europe, occult or secret societies in the Enlightenment period, and modern political organizations that merge ideology with social engineering. These groups typically work not through open conquest, but through institutional infiltration, gradually reshaping systems of education, finance, and governance to reflect their worldview. Understanding how ideological extremism, regardless of its religious or philosophical origin, can embed itself within public institutions is vital for maintaining transparency, accountability, and freedom in society.